Okay, good morning, the judges, the honorable ladies and gentlemen. My name is Truniarti. I'm as a first speaker from Negatif side, and for this motion today is boarding school system is beneficial to children. And I want to say thank you for the arguments from Mrs. Wirda as a first speaker from affirmative side. And Mrs. Wirda have already explained about the meaning from boarding school, and now I want to add it. As for in general, the meaning of education, boarding school, as written in the World Net Back 30, as a private school where students are lodged and fed as well as taught, meaning that it is a private school where students are self-fed and given lessons. According to the Oxford Dictionary, boarding school education is a school where some or all pupils live during the term. The meaning is boarding school is an educational institution where some or all students learn and live together during learning activities. And then, from this motion, Mrs. Wirda, as the first speaker from affirmative side, claimed that boarding school is more beneficial for children whose their hosts are far from school because it can save costs and be safer. So here, I do not agree with your claim. Why? Because myself, even the all peoples of Indonesia already know about the cost of the school that provide boarding school. Because schools that provide boarding schools certainly have a place to stay that provides complete facilities both at the boarding school or at the school, plus all the needs for food and drink and others will be borne by the school. So it is certainly the cost of money every month will be greater than regular school, because the cost of each month is determined by the school with an amount that is not small. Not only every month, but the registration money when you first enter is also large to tens of millions. I have a niece who studies at the Al Hassana Islamic Boarding School at Bengkulu City, so I know how the cost school in the school that have boarding school. Well, and now I claim that boarding school also has other negative effects that are quite dangerous for the child, such as the occurrence of bullying in the boarding school and psychological effects like boarding school syndrome. What is boarding school syndrome? Boarding school syndrome is increasingly recognized as a specific syndrome by the psychologists, psychotherapists, and counselors. Many adults are suffering long-term emotional or behavioral difficulties, where stem from having lost normal family life through being sent away to boarding school as children. In the British Journal of Psychotherapy, Dr. Joy Scaverian identified a set of symptoms common among early boarders that she calls boarding school syndromes. In boarding school syndromes, the psychological trauma of the privileged child, Dr. Joy Scaverian writes, this can cause major problems in adulthood: depression, inability to talk about or understand emotion, the urge to escape from or to destroy intimate relationships. These symptoms mostly affect early boarders, those who start when they are older less. How if you as a parent have a child who suffers from boarding house syndrome? Is not that painful, especially if the child psychology problem takes a short amount of time to cure it? It takes a lot of money to pay the cost consultation, and you should be more patient and careful for your child. It is different if a child school in public school that does not have a boarding school. We are more able to choose a boarding house that is cheaper. In the city, maybe 5,000 rupiah is the standard price for a boarding house complete with a living room, one-room kitchen, and bedroom. If a child is cooking by her or himself, then spending will be more efficient and less. In the same way, we inadvertently that teach her or his to learn to live independently. Take care of needs such as eating and learn to manage finance, and this is more benefit if a children does not go to school in boarding school. The point is, if a school that does not have a boarding school, we will be able to choose a boarding house that is cheaper than the boarding school that the cost of the money cannot be changed. Even I only spend 350,000 every month for my boarding house fees, and even the registration fee at a boarding school is more expensive than those of us who applied for college. Except that there are more negative effects from boarding school. Problems and disadvantages of boarding schools are mentioned as well in the paper of UNESCO boarding school. The first, contribute to cultural extinction. Boarding school played a major role in the extinction of indigenous cultures, especially in the end of the 19th and beginning of the 20th century in the North America and Australia. Second, cause cultural illiteracy. Being away from home at an early age means being unable to learn many cultural values, beliefs, practice, and customs that they need to function in the community. The third, cause a sense of alienation. Children in boarding schools can develop feelings if not being loved, wanted, or cared for. And there are many other disadvantages from boarding school. So the conclusion is not everything that you think is more positive does not have negative effects. Don't force your child if he or she really does not want to go to boarding school. Maybe the child thinks living alone will help more he or she because does not need to work for almost 24 hours full. He can use the free time to be creative with the hobbies, playing, traveling, and can meet family anytime they want. Okay, enough my statements for this motion today. Thanks for your time. Good morning and see you.